All right, just a few things here. Again, here in my office, away from my office, thought I'd spend a few moments to just do a few things. One, just a quick thanks and a quick shout out to everybody who has been kind enough to share their topics for their prospectuses and to respond to my feedback and so on and so forth. That was really good, those of you who did so. More than half the class took advantage of that, and so I think that's a good thing. It's better to get feedback from me than to not. So that's certainly one thing I just wanted to say. The second thing I wanted to do real quick is just to make sure that we were all on the same page as far as the assignment went. Okay, so I'm going to be doing some things here in a moment to make sure that we are where we need to be. And I'm going to close up a couple links or a couple tabs here. One of the things when I get really busy, I end up opening up a ridiculous number of tabs, and that always comes to haunt me for some reason, but I do it anyways. All right, so here is what I'm going to do is I'm putting this into a student preview mode. And again, I just want to show you a few things that I am doing for you. Okay, so let's find a Chrome tab here. Okay, I think I found it. Alrighty. Under assignments, I was getting a lot of questions about assignments, and the big one, of course, was, well, what exactly do you want me to do? And even though I thought it was fairly, straightforward, I went ahead and just simply got rid of the Word document, just ditched that thing entirely, and said, okay, what is it that we really need to accomplish from this? And really the things that need to be accomplished are the following. You need to, part of it comes down to modifying your prospectus template. That means title page needs to be modified so that it has your name and my name on it. You need to create your ORCID account if you haven't already and put that in the author notes along with your name. Make sure that any other names that are not your name and my name are gone. So there's that. Okay. So modifying that, and of course having your title and all that other good stuff needs to happen. You need to come up with your keywords. Now, hopefully at this point in the term, you have already started doing a lid search, and I know several of you have because you've told me. Chances are those articles, when you looked them up in the database, actually had keywords that came with them. And sometimes in newer articles that are published, you will see keywords published along with the article that you download. And those often are really good hints as to what to use as your keywords. Okay, so that's supposed to be happening. I want an initial rough draft of your introduction section. If we scroll down in a little bit, I've got some pro tips for how to maybe begin crafting that. References, again, proper form, APA form. And we've, of course, given you all sorts of examples of that in the prospectus template. So this shouldn't be a problem. And you should be able to pull those out from your article review forms, which presumably you've been filling out, and hopefully the sample article review form that I gave you was of some help. And then, of course, you really need to modify your header so that it reflects, that it has 3 words that reflect what your particular research project or proposed research project is going to be. Okay, so those are the things that directly involve the prospectus template. And I also asked for some other things. Select 7 full-text empirical articles, presumably you've been doing that, and complete review forms for each, okay? And those review forms can be uploaded, okay? You can complete, we also want you to complete the following universal application paragraph. How is the topic you've chosen relevant to everyday living? Write a paragraph, at least 8 sentences, okay? Now, that universal application paragraph you could probably modify and tweak a bit and make part of your introduction. So this isn't busy work, actually. Part of what I'm trying to do is get you to justify why this project matters. And maybe there's a good reason for that. And I think a lot of it has to do with so much of the dross that I see in psychology and in a lot of social science research more broadly. And where I don't think the researchers really do think all that much about how their work is relevant to everyday life. And so I want you to be thinking about that and to communicate that to an audience. Right now it's an audience of one, me, but eventually it'll be an audience of others. Okay, so that's certainly something I want you to be able to do. Okay, now technically I think this is due today, but if you're running a little bit behind, it's not the end of the world to me. Okay, odds are pretty good that you know, I'll start scoring whatever I see once it's available. But really, everything you need, all you'll have to do is just simply, you know, click the assignment. And I think most of you have used Blackboard enough to where this should be doable. And then you can just simply attach files. You can browse, you know, your local files that you might have on your laptop or your Chromebook or your computer or your tablet or however you're doing things. Find the files you need. One would be prospectus template, the other would be that universal application document, and then your article review forms. Those can all be basically uploaded, okay? And then you'll click submit. Once you click submit, here's what happens. You'll notice something that'll show up. Let's see if I can make this work for me. And let me get to documents. And one of the things, my computer's going really slow, so I'm going to have to reboot it pretty soon, whether I want to or not. So let me see what I've got here. May take me a moment. All right. Get to research methods, maybe. And let's say that you know, I might say decide I want my prospectus template. And so wherever it is, I'll just put that in. And then maybe I have somewhere an article review. And I might have some other documents along the way. Click Submit. And just like that, once I've successfully submitted, I will see links to whatever it is that I have submitted. Okay? That's literally it. And by the way, under course resources, I gave you a sample article review form that I'd completed along with the original. Okay? And so those things are always there for you. So I've tried to do everything I know how to do in order to make sure that you have everything you need in order to be able to successfully pass this course. So, including the trusty old prospectus template. So you have, I think, practically everything you need. Okay. I've done my best, at least, to make sure that that occurs. And again, I'll open up a couple documents here so that you can actually see them in a moment. Because yes, I do quite a bit of work for you guys, whether you realize it or not. So I'm going to go ahead and exit the preview for now and go from there. And we will stop sharing content for a second. All right, so that should be, I think, fairly straightforward. And hopefully you will be able to get that stuff done. And I've talked about the prospectus template before. I don't think any of this is any big surprise to you. But I think what we're going to do, we're going to share application screen again. Going to go to Window, and I'm going to go to my okay, I got something I didn't want. I know I'm connected to the internet. That's lovely. Didn't want that. Let me try again. Window. Okay. And again, your prospectus template, my intention was for you to go ahead and use what I have here. But you'll change your title. You'll change the header so that it reflects your title. You'll change your name. You'll change your name here again, and you'll create an ORCID ID, assuming you haven't already. My ORCID ID is right here. Make sure that you've updated your correspondence to your address and your email and all that good stuff. So if you do that, I think you're in the ball game. Okay, so that's one thing. The keywords are ones that are, again, search terms that are appropriate for your proposal, your prospectus, based on what it is that you're wishing to study. Let's not touch the table of contents or the figures or any of that for now. And then the introduction. You know, these are instructions that came from Dr. Barrett, but I think she and I are on the same page with this. But the idea is that this template is designed primarily in accordance with parameters set in your APA publication manual. We've got some department-friendly modifications included for this course and assignment, and they're just kind of quirks that just go with our department. The designated introduction, of course, is one of them. But the idea here is really for you to specify, some answers to some basic questions. What's the problem that you're wishing to investigate? Why is it a problem? What's being done to resolve or address this problem, if anything, and what needs to be done? Okay, in other words, what I'm trying to do is getting you to justify your research. And again, that universal application business will help you do just that. Okay, so that's something you'll want to do. Okay, and so you can even see an example that we put for what an introduction might look like. Okay, and by the way, if you do find yourself with an introduction where you actually are citing some references, then go ahead and cite the references. That is life. And then I'm going to scroll down a hot minute here and get to where the references section is. Okay, and again, note that your APA publication manual in a couple chapters will give you the correct format for how the references should look. Okay, and what we give you are some examples of what you should be able to see. You'll notice that you've got the author's last names and first initials, and you'll see the publication year. You'll see the title of the article, the title of the journal, which is italicized, along with the volume of the journal, also italicized. Then you've got your page numbers, and then you've got a DOI. That digital object identifier, by the way, actually is very important because it's a permanent link to the document, to that particular article. A lot of the internet is very, as you know, fluid. Things are there one day, not there the next. The DOI is meant to be something that will always be there. It'll always send you to wherever the article is located, no matter what. Okay, so that is what I would tell you. So, make sure that you follow this format all the way through, and you will find that you cannot go wrong. All right. So those are really the main things that I wanted you to do with the prospectus template for Module 1. Okay, so that's one thing. And since sharing is caring, let me do one more thing. Let's find a sample article review form. And again, I took something very simple. And first off, you're asked to justify, why this article is relevant. And again, I think a lot of it comes down to that if you're going to cite stuff, it's got to mean something. It's not just simply, I wanted to finish a darn assignment, or I just wanted to pad my references section so it looks wonderful, which unfortunately real researchers do. And I don't want you to be that person There's too many of those people right now. I really want you guys to be on the side of reformers. So for this one, I justify it by saying, I'm interested in the replicability of the weapon's priming effect. The article seems to offer a conceptual replication of the original research, Anderson et al., 1998, but seems to extend its findings as well. Okay, and here's the APA style citation. You can see the name of the authors, the date, the title of the article, the journal in which it appeared, which is a very, very new journal. Dr. Otero was on its editorial board briefly, from what I remember. She was there for like about a year or two before she rolled off. And then, the other remaining citation information. And you can see all that. Since this is a strictly web-based citation, you can see what's going on. You can see that I lay out very simply the problem under study, what the authors wanted to find. Okay, I lay out the research methods in terms of the participants. I keep it simple. The instruments, which in this case were the stimulus images, a gun with a strikeout, gun, and a neutral object, which is a flower, and the 98-item aggressive word completion task developed by Anderson et al., 1999. A different paper. The procedures. I note that the participants had to give informed consent. They were told the study involved image quality and cognitive performance. So there's some deception involved here. They then received a packet containing one of the 3 stimulus images, and they were asked to rate the image quality. After participants rated the image, they were given 3 minutes to complete as many of the items in the word completion task as possible, and then they were thanked and debriefed. The variables I mentioned were stimulus type, the gun with a strikeout, gun, neutral image, and the accessibility of aggressive cognition measured by proportion of aggressive words completed. So I tell you the variable names. I also tell you how they were being manipulated or measured. Okay, in other words, I give you the operational definitions. And then finally, or near finally, we get the results. And again, the authors basically found statistical significance for their hypothesis. There was much rejoicing. And they interpreted it as such. Under number 7, signs prohibiting guns may have the unintended consequences of priming aggressive thoughts, just the same as images of guns themselves would. The authors mentioned some criticisms here, and some of it's boilerplate. You use college students as a sample. That's, they're going to be homogeneous and all that, and it's often less clear if they're all that generalizable. The sample was, the authors mentioned that the sample was arguably small and underpowered, given that effect sizes in these types of studies tend to be small. And there were also some questions about whether the instrument used to measure the dependent variable was adequately validated. So those are some things the authors note are, some limitations. So, you might want to be careful. And, aside from the need for replication, the authors suggest testing other types of weapons, such as knives, to see if the effect might hold up across weapon type. Okay, so you see, I keep everything real simple. I just try to get out the, who, what, when, where, why, how sort of things, that questions that, you would typically ask of any kind of article you would ever read. All right. And that's really it. Okay. So, and again, I think some of you guys are already doing this pretty well. Some of you are frozen in panic, which I don't really want you to be. And just one of the things I really want you to keep in mind while you are doing your work here is that it's okay to be uncertain. It's okay to turn in something that's imperfect. Um, you are beginners, okay, which means that I'm expecting mistakes. I was a beginner once. Granted, back when I was a beginner, the Berlin Wall had not yet fallen, although it was getting pretty close. Um, and uh, some things like that. But I remember having a lot of the same anxieties and misgivings and all of that. And I also turned in stuff that I was convinced was total garbage. And when I was done with my project back in my day, I think I made sure that that thing went straight into the circular file. It went straight into the trash because I didn't want anybody to ever see it. Um, okay. Mostly because I hoped I would do better going forward. So I expect imperfections. I expect mistakes. This is a fairly low stakes assignment for you because if you just simply turn the darn stuff in, you get literally every 30 points. Every one of those 30 points are yours. And all you get in return is some feedback. How about them apples? Who wouldn't want that? Okay. So that's what I really want you to do is think in terms of, hey, this is actually not bad. I can do this. I will show Dr. B some stuff that I've done, and it'll be okay. If you are still in the process of doing journal article reviews and you haven't found all of your articles yet, that's fine too. Just turn in what you have. Let me at least look at it so I know that you're in the right direction. And if I need to sort of fish you out a little bit, I'll fish you out a little bit. Okay, it's not a big deal to me. Okay, all I just want to know is that you're able to try to make some sense of what you're reading. And yes, reading original journal articles can be rough sledding, but depending upon how long you've been with our particular program, you might have already noted that you have some cranky professors who insist you read empirical journal articles and cite them in written assignments. I'm one of them, okay? And so you may have already had a little bit of practice trying to read articles. And if you haven't had practice, well, a little bit of trial by fire, yeah, but that's pretty much it. And really what I'm trying to get you to do is read articles a little less superficially, okay? It's really easy to just kind of gloss over an abstract and maybe gloss over the discussion section and go, okay, I know what's going on here. I've seen enough. But the reality is that you really need to understand the nuts and bolts of what the authors did to understand why they came to the conclusions they did. And you really need to read through carefully the introduction that they write and their lit review in order to get an idea of where they're coming from, their hypotheses and all that. To understand, again, what they were gunning for, so to speak. And so I'm asking you to do just a little bit more of a deep dive than maybe you're used to doing, but it's really not that much more of a deep dive if you really think about it. And the more you do this, the better you get at it. Heck, I'm at a point where I can read an article and I can spot red flags when I'm reading an article in terms of whether the data are reported correctly, the analyses are reported correctly. I can spot some red flags in some other ways as well, and I can make some note of it. Sometimes I'll end up tweeting about it. Sometimes I'll end up blogging about it. Things like that. I might contact a journal editor if I see something that looks a bit amiss. Journal editors, by the way, hate that. And I've got a feeling I'm on an enemies list of some editors at this point, which is okay. because at this point in my career, I really don't need them anyways. So, you know, who cares? So, there's a few things like that um, that I'm able to do, but that's because I've practiced and I keep practicing and I keep current. And it's a very important thing to do. So, really, all I'm trying to do is get you to put in a bit of effort, um, and you'll be very, very positively reinforced for that effort. And then when you give me your revisions in Module 2 and the added stuff that I'll ask for in Module 2, you'll be able to just do wonders, okay? So, uh, and then I'll be able to give you even more feedback. Alrighty? So just keep at it. I've made this assignment as simple as I know how to make it. I literally don't know how to make it any simpler. Um, and maybe that's my bad. I don't know. If so, mea culpa. But really, a lot of it comes down to work on your prospectus and work on facets of the prospectus that you're going to need to deal with later. That's really what Module 1 is all about. Alrighty? Go get them. And I'll be back with another video very soon. Take care, stay safe. And also don't forget to practice some self-care occasionally too. Don't stress yourself about this all the time. All right, that's it. All right, take care.